She runs the most powerful central bank in Europe. And this week, Christine Lagarde drew a line in the sand that should stop every XRP holder cold. Now, you've probably seen the clips going around claiming Lagarde just endorsed XRP. Let me kill that right now. She didn't. That's a lie. And I'm not going to insult you with it. But here's the thing nobody's telling you. What she actually said is bigger than the fake version. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Standing in front of the entire governing council of the European Central Bank, Lagarde said reserves have to be liquid. They have to be secure. They have to be safe. And they cannot, in her words, be plagued by the suspicion of money laundering or criminal activity. Then she slammed the door. Bitcoin will not enter the reserves of any central bank in that room. Not now. Not soon. So sit with that. The woman steering the euro just told the world, out loud, that the asset everyone calls digital gold is not good enough to sit in a central bank's vault. So what is? What kind of asset is liquid enough, compliant enough, fast enough to actually move value between nations? Because that exact job description is the entire reason XRP was built. I'm not telling you she said XRP. I'm telling you to read the blueprint she just handed you. And it gets louder. This same week, the man who filed the lawsuit that nearly killed XRP, Clayton, just got confirmed to run national intelligence. He's gone, out of securities forever. And while everyone's arguing over a fake $100 trillion screenshot, real money, almost $1.5 billion of it, has quietly poured into XRP ETFs that actually exist. So before you scroll, let me separate what's real from what's fake, show you exactly what Lagarde's words mean for XRP, and hand you the receipts. Because the truth this week is better than the hype. Real quick, from the heart. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here is a promise about price, especially not the wild numbers floating around this week. This is me walking you through the news, straight, like family. Politics and markets turn on a dime. So do your own research and never risk what you can't afford to lose. We're early, and we're in this together. Let me set the scene properly, because context is everything here. Christine Lagarde isn't a crypto influencer. She isn't some analyst on X. She is the president of the European Central Bank. She sits at the top of the monetary system for 20 countries and around 350 million people. When she talks about what belongs in a central bank's reserves, that is not an opinion. That is policy taking shape. And she was asked directly, should central bank reserves include Bitcoin? Her answer was a wall. She said reserves have to be liquid. They have to be secure. They have to be safe. They can't be shadowed by suspicion of money laundering or other criminal activity. And then the line that got clipped around the world. She said she's confident Bitcoin will not enter the reserves of any of the central banks around that table. Now here's where I need you to be smarter than the hype accounts. She did not say XRP. She did not endorse Ripple. Anybody splicing her words to make it sound like she did is lying to you. And lying to you is how you get hurt in this space. But watch what she actually did. She stood up and read out a checklist. Liquid, secure, safe, clean, compliant. She described, in her own words, the exact qualities a reserve asset needs. And then she told you Bitcoin fails that test. So ask the obvious question she left hanging in the air. If not Bitcoin, then what? What digital asset is engineered to be fast, liquid, and built for regulatory compliance from the ground up? What asset was designed specifically to move value between different currencies, across borders, in seconds? You already know the answer. That's the job XRP was born to do. I'm not putting words in her mouth. I'm telling you she just described the blueprint, out loud, on the record. And the smart money heard it loud and clear. Stick with me, because the villain of this whole story just walked off the stage. Let me take you back to December 2020. If you were here, you remember the pain. The SEC filed suit against Ripple, and the man in charge of that SEC, the chairman who signed off on it, was Clayton. XRP got hammered. It fell below 30 cents. Exchanges delisted it. The comment sections were a graveyard. Everybody and their brother was screaming that XRP was finished. And you know what a lot of us did? We held. Some of us bought more, because we could see the difference between a lawsuit and a death sentence. Now fast forward to this week. The Senate just confirmed Jay Clayton in a 51-47 vote to become the Director of National Intelligence. He's replacing Tulsi Gabbard, who stepped down earlier this year. Read what that actually means. The man who started the war on XRP is leaving the world of securities entirely. He's not running the SEC. He's not writing crypto rules. He's going to run spy agencies. Different building, different universe. He is completely out of XRP's story. Let me clear up one more lie while we're here, because this one drives me nuts. A lot of people still think Gary Gensler started the Ripple case. Nope, opposite of the truth. The case was filed under Clayton in 2020. Gensler didn't take over the SEC until April 2021. What Gensler did was drag it out for years and make life miserable for the whole industry. But he didn't like the match. Clayton did. And now, Clayton is gone. So here's what I want you to feel. Both of the men most associated with the SEC's war on crypto, the one who started it and the one who prolonged it, are out. The chapter isn't reopening, it's closing. And XRP walked out the other side of that courtroom with something almost no other token has. A federal judge already ruled, back in 2023, that XRP itself is not a security when sold on public exchanges. The villain left. The ruling stayed. That's the position XRP is standing in today. Now let me hand you the receipts, because this is where the fantasy meets the fact. All right, let's talk about that screenshot. You've seen it. Big, bold letters. $100 trillion. The word confirmed stamped on it like it came down from a mountain. Let me be straight with you the way I always am. Nobody confirmed $100 trillion. That number is somebody's daydream, dressed up to look like news. And when a channel has to fake a number that big, it's usually because they don't trust the real story to be exciting enough. So let me give you the real story. And I promise you, it's better, because you can actually check it. Right now, there are 7 spot XRP ETFs trading in the United States. Not coming soon, trading today. Since they launched back in November, they've pulled in around $1.5 billion in net inflows. They ran 8 straight weeks of positive inflows through the middle of this year, at a time when some Bitcoin and Ethereum funds were bleeding. And here's the part that really matters. Because ETFs file public disclosures, we get to see who's buying. These are called 13F filings, and every quarter they peel back the curtain. We're seeing regulated investment firms, real institutions, quietly showing XRP positions on their books. One firm here, a major market maker there, line by line, filing by filing. That's the tell. Institutional adoption doesn't show up as a fireworks show. It shows up as a boring line item in a legal document. And right now, those boring line items are stacking up in XRP's favor, in the middle of a quiet market, while retail is distracted, arguing about market cap. Here's what I want you to take from this. You don't need a fake 100 trillion to be excited. You need to understand that the people who move real money are getting their exposure now, calmly, before the crowd. Do I have a price target for you? No, that's not my job, and anyone throwing you a magic number is guessing. But the direction of the real evidence? It's pointing one way. Quick gut check, and I want your honest answer in the comments. Yes or no? Do you believe a major central bank will eventually hold a compliance-focused digital asset in its reserves within the next 5 years? Just type yes or no. I read every one of these, and I genuinely want to see where this community's head is at. Because the next piece is the one the fake clips are hiding from you. Let me connect the dots, because this is the whole game. When Lagarde said Bitcoin fails the test, she wasn't insulting Bitcoin as an investment. She was talking about a very specific job, the job of a reserve asset, the plumbing that moves value between nations and sits on the books of central banks. And Bitcoin, for all its strengths, was never built for that job. It's slow to settle. Its whole pitch is to sit still and be digital gold. That's a fine role, but it is not the role of a settlement rail. Now think about what a central banker actually needs to move money across borders. Speed. So a transfer clears in seconds, not days. Low cost, so you're not bleeding fees on every settlement. Liquidity, so you can move size without breaking the market. And compliance, so regulators don't come knocking. Read that list back. Fast, cheap, liquid, compliant. That is not a wish list. That is the literal design spec of the XRP ledger. This is the thing XRP has been quietly doing while everyone else was arguing. And this is exactly why Ripple's own leadership has been so vocal. Brad Garlinghouse and Stu Alderati have been out front for years, pushing for clear rules and framing XRP as real financial infrastructure with actual utility. Not a meme, not a lottery ticket. When the people running the company keep pointing at the same use case, and then the president of the ECB stands up and describes that exact use case as what the system needs, you should pay attention. I'll say it one more time so nobody can twist my words. Lagarde did not name XRP, but she read out the job description. And XRP is one of the very few assets on Earth actually applying for that job. For you, holding XRP, this is the reframe that matters. You're not holding a lottery ticket and praying. You're holding a tool that solves a problem the most powerful people in finance just admitted they still have. So let's put the fake and the real side by side, one last time. Let me leave you with a simple filter, because this week showed you both sides of this space. On one side, you've got the hype machine, the $100 trillion screenshot, the fake endorsements, the AI-generated price targets promising you $15 this year, $500 next year, $1,000 the year after. Look, I want XRP to fly as much as you do. But when somebody hands you a number with no path behind it, that's not analysis. That's bait. And bait is how good people get shaken out at the worst possible moment. On the other side, you've got the facts. And the facts this week were genuinely strong. The president of the ECB laid out why the old model doesn't work and described exactly the kind of asset that does. The man who started the lawsuit against XRP left the securities world entirely, and real institutional money kept flowing into real XRP products you can look up yourself. Here's the idea I want to leave burned into your memory. Hype is a sandcastle. It looks amazing for one afternoon, and then the tide of reality comes in and washes it flat, and everyone who built their hopes on it gets soaked. Facts are concrete. They're less flashy. They set slowly. But once they're poured, they hold weight, and you can build a future on top of them. Everything real that happened this week was concrete. A central banker describing the need, a regulator exiting the stage, institutions filing their positions in black and white. None of it promises you a price. All of it strengthens the foundation. Do I know exactly when XRP has its moment? No, nobody does. And anybody who says they do is selling you something. But I know which way the concrete is being poured. And I'd rather stand on that than on somebody's screenshot. So let me bring it home. This week handed you a choice between two stories. One was loud, fake, and designed to get your click and your heartbreak. The other was quieter, real, and honestly, a whole lot more powerful. The head of the European Central Bank described the exact problem XRP was built to solve. The man who sued XRP walked off into a completely different job. And institutions kept stacking, one filing at a time. You don't need a fake 100 trillion. The truth is enough. I know it's been a long road. The delays, the fake headlines, the noise. I feel it too. But look where we actually are. The foundation under this thing is getting harder, not softer. The pain doesn't last forever. It never does. We're early. The foundation is being poured. And I would rather stand here with you, watching real concrete set, than chase whatever screenshot is trending today. So do your own research this week, tune out the fake numbers, and come back tomorrow, because this story is moving fast, and I'll be right here to walk you through every piece of it. This is Crypto with BHW, where we tell it straight with heart.